Indeed, very good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where and when you're watching us from. My name is Mutazi Wachira Wanyaga, Mujiro wa Baria Karigithi, Nagwehoka Kumangogo Shoderia Shumaga Huho, Muridayo, Dayo, Dayo. Today is not really a good day, it's a sad day, especially here in Kenya. It is the 20th day of March, the year is 2024. And we start off at a very sad note. And here in Nairobi, especially in the people from Kenyatta University, are mourning, and a lot of young people have lost their lives. And we want to join the Kenyatta University fraternity in sending our condolences to everybody who has lost their loved ones, and to wish a quick recovery to everybody who is in hospital. We hope that they will get well. Today we'll be talking about youth and leadership. We want to discuss about leadership in Africa, especially with the young people here in Kenya, and in Africa as a whole. So maybe before we get into the discussion where Jeff will be leading us today, let us hear from Mina. How are you? How is everything that side?
I am fine, and I think I'd like to share the same sentiments as you. It is a sad week here. Our colleagues lost their lives earlier in the week, and all we can do is hope their souls rest in peace. And for those who are in hospital, hope they have a quick recovery. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
also see Moses Maina is in the house. Moses, kindly unmute and introduce yourself. Where have you been, the lost son?
Yeah, I think it's good evening, everybody. Yeah, I've been good. My name is Moses Maina. I used to appear in the panel sometimes back, but now with this economy, I had to kind of go a bit. But I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to say that I'm a little bit now flexible for these panels. It's been quite a tough time for me. No, it's been difficult to really jungle in between work, arriving in the house a little bit late. My in my career path as an analytical chemist, sometimes you can't just leave things in the lab. Some things you have to complete them. Yeah. So that's how I have been, but I'm glad, I'm happy to be here to connect with you guys as we
Yeah.
discuss what to do with Africa. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you, Moses, also for being here with us. We really appreciate you. And we hope that things will now become better moving forward. Now, Jeff, take it away.
Thank you again, Wachira. It's the same panelist, and we have a visitor today, Moses Minor. Yeah, you're welcomed. My name is Jeff Waheto. I'm part of the team, and our topic today is youth and leadership. And becoming a leader is not something easy. Most people think that they are leaders, but they are not leaders worth following. So, according to me, the correct definition of a leader is somebody who can guide others, who makes decisions for others to a similar collective goal. And for a good explanation, leaders think of others more than they think of themselves. And I just want to hear from our panelists. What do you think? Who is a leader? Let's start with Moses.
There's quite a broad definition of a leader, but to me, I take a leader as someone who really is more of a team manager who really guides people to a specific goal, or rather some specific laid down objectives. Because you see, we say that everybody is a leader in his own or her own capacity. Yeah, so that's why I really define a leader, someone who really takes up the mantle to lead a certain group, or even maybe even himself to to fulfill or really accomplish a certain objective. Yeah, you see, you find back in campus would have maybe group discussions, would have group assignment, and you in that you will choose the leader. Like for us, we used to rotate. Everybody used to have his or her own chance to lead that group in a specific assignment, or in a specific work that we are supposed to execute. So to me, what I would say is that in this context, is that a leader is someone who leads other people or other guides and ensures he or she does a follow-up of the group or himself also to accomplish certain objectives. Because if you can't lead yourself, then you can't even lead others. Yeah.
Collins, what's your
Yeah,
definition of a leader?
for me, a leader, first of all, is a servant of his people, and his act of service is guiding his people towards a common vision, a common goal, something that they want to achieve. And I think I'd like to disagree with you when you say a leader makes decisions for his people, because to me, that is a dictator. A leader leads his people towards making that decision. He guides his people to make that decision. He does not necessarily make the decision for them. So for me, a leader is a servant, and he's a servant who stands up among the rest and decides, I'm going to lead this group of people towards this common goal. And yeah, he acts as a beacon of hope and as a guide for his people towards something greater than him. Uh, yeah, so for me, that's basically what a leader is.
Wachira, before you answer who is a leader, I will also want to direct a question to you. You see, for me, I know I am a leader when I help others. When someone has a difficult challenge, I help him maneuver that situation. And for that reason, I believe I'm a leader, and I believe we are all leaders. And if you're not a leader, you will just tell us, how do you know you are not a leader? And Wachira, you can answer the two questions. How do you know you are a leader, and who is a leader according to you?
Okay, so for me, first of all, who is a leader? I'll borrow from John C. Maximilian from a book he wrote known as the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and he says that a leader is influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. You know, we should not look at a leader as only as a good one. Some people influence people in other bad ways. So it does not negate the definition of them being a leader. So for me, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And I am under the impression that I'm one because I am able to influence people in one way or another. I'm able to convince people to do this and to get into a certain mission. Let us do this, and we are able to do it, and some of it have been really successful. So to me, that is how I can basically answer that question, Waheto.
Thank you. Collins, are you a leader? And if you are a leader, how do you know you are a leader? And if you are not, how do you know you are not a leader?
That's a funny question, because how do you not know you're not a leader? For me, I believe uh, being a leader, you find people looking to for direction from you, and it's not something that you just wake up and decide one day I'm a leader. I believe it's something that grows within. It's something that you build. It's not that, Jeff, if you can wake up tomorrow and decide that, you know what, I am a leader. So for me, leadership is something that is nurtured within us, and I believe, yes, I'm a leader because I have been in spaces where I served as a guide. For my definition of a leader, where I served as a guide for people towards achieving a common goal. I've been in spaces where people looked towards me for a sense of direction. I've been in spaces where people placed the responsibility of representing them upon me. So, yes, I am a leader in the making. I am not yet where I'd want to be, but I believe I am a leader being nurtured to be someone great in the future. Yeah. So, does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah, it answers. And Moses, in my culture, someone who is very wise, we call him Modo Moge. He was regarded to as a leader, and and even as someone who had experience, maybe in war, he had past experience in leading others. He was regarded to as a leader. And maybe you could share, Moses, in your culture or in your community, how are leaders identified? How could you know this person is a leader? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You see, there's different metrics or really different ways in which to identify someone as a leader. To me, how we would identify someone as a leader back in my community, probably I will explain this using an example. Yeah, so when I was growing up, I know I come from a very deep village in Moya County called in Moya constituency in Kirinyaga County called Ngodi Village. So in Ngodi Village, the roads there's it's clay soil. So you can imagine when there's heavy rains, so the clay soil is always that one with poor drainage. Therefore, and it is very sticky. So that means things has to stop for that moment because now you can't even go with a gumboot because now you see the gumboot will stick in the mud. So you used to walk barefoot. Now in my village we used to do farming like for we used to do rice and tomatoes. But now the rice has no issues because that one needs water. But now when it comes for the case of tomatoes, you see when they get ripe, you can't postpone their ripening. They have ripe and they have ripe, so you have to take them to the market. So you see we have issues now of transporting these tomatoes from the shamba to the market, which was almost like 5 kilometers away. There's no proper roads. So now there we could now come together and now think of what we can do, because of course politicians are liars, so they won't help you at that point. So now this is how we could identify. You could find these people, yes, they are not educated, but someone comes with an idea of how now probably the car has stuck. The one that is carrying the tomatoes, probably the one that it's called the cart now, the one for the car. Well, yeah. So comes an idea and he tells you guys, we need to do this, we need to put stones here, we need to build a trench here, a trench here, we need to build a canal here so that this water can move. Then we dry here, we need to take probably some loam soil from other place, come pour here, we need some stones. You see, this person will take you through ways of how now to solve that immediate problem that you have. They couldn't also stop there. Now they are like, now guys, because we are the one who are getting affected by this thing, what do we do? The same guy probably would come and probably mobilize the men in the community, and we could kuchanga something. People come with their carts, go get some stones, go get some loam soil, and you can build the road for us. That's actually was one of my first interaction with the community in terms of a community project. You are building a road for us. So to me, what I would say is that, to cut it short, and or rather to summarize, is that how you identify a leader is someone who's probably gives insight, or rather gives solutions to problems that are affecting the community. It can be one person or even many, but you see this person gives solution to problems affecting the community. Or rather, when people comes with the ideas, give the ideas, they are able to intersect those ideas, dissect them, and now probably come up with a final framework to what will benefit, or rather will solve that problem. Yes.
Thank you, Moses and Wachira. Maybe and Collins, you can share how are leaders chosen in your traditional African societies.
And see, from
Yeah,
where I come from, also not that some time back they used to select leaders in different ways, but leadership to them was more of a calling, that you actually become a leader. You're not just unlike the European system where you have, or other cultures where people used to inherit from their fathers. In this sense, in the Kikuyu tradition, people used to become leaders. Yeah, and they eventually, the journey starts during the circumcision for boys. So when they get into now that age set, or in a place they call it Rika, they get into that age set, and that's where the journey of proper leadership begins. Because at the end of the day, they are the same people who will end up getting into the council of elders. And there are various council of elders that I don't want to get into. Some of them are called Amatadi. Some of them, the highest are Matura Guru. It is they are different. So that's how they used to that's how leaders, or those were the leaders in the traditional aspect. So how are they chosen? it was a process of becoming, because not everybody will have been a leader. Obviously, if everybody's a leader, then who's to be led? Uh, it is about character. They used to check about the character of an individual, not only the men but also the women, in their aspect. How are they worthy enough to lead the others? Their character. What are the traits that they possess that they can say this is a good leader? This is somebody who can actually lead the others. So it was a process of becoming. It was a process that. Leadership in the traditional aspect was a process, because even if you look at it, they used to if I can use that term, they used to be promoted. Yeah, from those council of elders, they were at various ranks. So they used to be promoted. So you can imagine, by the time you get into the highest level of the council of elders, or you're sitting at that council of elders, it means it's a process of becoming, and it was based on purely character. I'm not purely, rather, but majorly on character and the traits that you had. Yeah.
Yeah. As for my case, unlike Wachira's and Miner's case, from where I come from, leadership was something hereditary. If your father was a chief, for example, we have people like Nabongo Mumia. If he was your father, then automatically, if you're the first hand, the leadership position was passed on to you. And it's not to say that you are born a leader, but in identifying that your father was a leader. So in your youth, you are trained on how to become a leader. You are taught of what leaders are supposed to do, of how leaders are supposed to act in such a way that in your maturity, you are able to ascend to the throne without any problems. So yeah, for us, it was hereditary more than being chosen, or more than going through the entire process of becoming a leader. And then there was also another way in which we could become a leader. This one was based on merit, because in the past there are things like wars, things like conquests, and then people who stood out during these times automatically gained positions of leadership. For example, if you led a group of people into war and you came out victorious, obviously there had to be a prize you were to be given, and the prize for you was to be a leadership position. For instance, if you went into war and came out victorious and came back with herds of cattle, or with slaves, or with basically the spoils of war, you could maybe ascend into a position like the Council of Elders. You could maybe become a military general. So leadership was also based on merit, not only the hereditary part. And then a certain crop of leaders was chosen based on revelations from a higher power. From where I come from, we call him Nyasai. So Nyasai revealed to people, revealed to maybe the medicine man in your village, the healer in your village, that this person has within him the power to lead his people. And the medicine man then went and communicated to the council of elders, maybe. And because it was a revelation of a higher power, there was no challenge to that revelation. If it was revealed that indeed you were to become a leader, and then that way you would become a leader. So yeah, from where I come from, leadership can either be hereditary, based on merit, or you could be chosen by that higher power. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Collins. And I've just remembered something and I want to share with you guys. So last week, I was helping my small brother do his homework. You know, CBC is the parent or the sibling doing the homework other than the child. So I was helping him and I came across a storybook. The storybook was about a boy, and in his village there was drought, kulikuwa na drought kabisa, and there was a river down there but very far, so the river could not reach the farm. So the boy came up with an idea. I think he was 12 years. I don't think he was 12 years. He came up with the idea and he said we could dig trenches and they could reach the farm. So he took his friend and they started digging the trenches. About when they were almost finishing digging the trenches, the big people saw that, hey, this now is making sense, and they decided to join and dig the trenches. And truthfully, the water came into the farm and the land all became zikakuwa green kabisa. So from that story, it's not just a storybook, and thinking deep of it, it had a deeper meaning. I learned that the boy is a leader because of this. Alileta watu pamoja, and he came across and akapata solution to a certain problem, the the villagers problem. And I want to direct a question to you, Moses, and you could simply share with us. What role do you think education and mentorships play in making of leaders?
Education and mentorship, the role education and mentorship plays in making of leaders. Okay, yeah. One thing I will start with education and say, education first. When we are growing up, we were told education is the key to success. But now, let's deviate from that because I think I don't know nowadays. I don't know if nowadays is still the key to success. But anyway, now education, the correlation between education and leadership, and you making a leader. One, for me, I take education as an avenue of how I got exposure. Because assuming assuming I'm still back in my village doing rice farming, I wouldn't have known Wachira, I wouldn't have known you, I wouldn't have known Maina. Equally, it's through education that I have led in different aspects. Like back in high school, there was the position that I held. When I came to campus, I was in AYLF, African Leadership Forum. All these through all these position, or rather all these places, it's it's one, the background of what made me get there is education. So what I would think is that education gives you a chance to interact and get exposed, to interact with people first and get exposed to things that you'd have not known were you not educated. When you get exposed now, and when you get exposed, that means you are interacting with people, you're interacting with groups, you're interacting with maybe probably even your classmates at your class level. That's when now, whereby now, as you interact with people, people have problems. When you're in an organization, they have problems. That's why now you come in, when you give them solutions, and then people are like, Ujama, this guy can become a leader. This guy, if he leads us, then he can give us probably solutions. We, with the help of him, can be able to probably solve certain problems, and maybe we can reach certain places. Now, on the side of mentorship, when you talk of mentorship, you see, we are young people, and as a young person, you really have not seen a lot. So, in Kikuyu, we have a saying that says, "Muthuri kaire ona haraihu." Yeah, so that means when you talk of mentorship, we say that those people who are ahead of us. For example, I'm the chair. I was the coordinator multimedia, University AYLF chapter. But now there was a coordinator before me. You see, this coordinator before me used to handle issues in a certain way. And sometimes I was stuck maybe on how I will do this. So you see, I would call her and tell, hey, but hey, how did you used to go about this? What do you think? You know, and that's what we call mentorship. To her, she would always call me and she was like, hey, Moses, this is how you run this is how you go this, ask people about their perspective, engage people and understand what they want, formulate this. And that's how another part of mentorship comes in. Because now with mentorship, it makes easy for leaders to achieve their target and objectives. But now you have to be very cautious on who is also mentoring you. Because you see, we find we are living in an era whereby there are people, you know old age does not come with wisdom. Kitambo, without old age comes with it. But nowadays it's becoming really tofauti kidogo. So that's why you need to be very sure of who is mentoring you, and check the best mentors for you, because others would can really deviate you from the real cause. But what I believe is education and mentorship are two crucial things for a leader, and most education, because it is through education that you will get this exposure. You will also meet this mentor. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Moses. And like you said, I read somewhere they say education is the key to success. And I read somewhere it may be the key to success, and maybe the doors of success do not have padlocks. I want all of you to share something, and I will start by sharing my story. Uh, you see, there are startup organizations that help people to become leaders, to help others become leaders. And I want you to share some of the successful organizations you know that help young people to become leaders. And I will start. You see, I work at Wachira Speaks Ltd, and we really help people to become better leaders, worth following leaders. And I will just show we empower people. I just want to show you one of our, maybe you can see, Wachira Speaks empowering people. You can get this wristband at an affordable price of 100 shillings at 20% a day. And maybe all of you can share what are some of the organizations you know that develop young leaders, that help other leaders to develop, to help other people to become leaders. You can start with you, Collins.
Maybe allow me just to briefly talk on what Moses was saying. You asked something to do with education, and I think we've restricted ourselves to education only being formal. And in my interactions with Wachira, he tells me that at times he used to sit down with his grandmother and knowledge was passed from her on to him. So I'd like us to think of education not only in the formal sense, but also, education is just passing on knowledge from one person to another. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't have to be seated in a class for you to be educated. Just us being here, we are educating ourselves on leadership. You don't have to follow a Eurocentric form of education. Education doesn't necessarily have to occur in a classroom setting. So yeah, education shapes us into the leaders we are. And education not only in the formal sense, but education in the sense of knowledge being passed on from one person to another. And this goes back to the point of leaders being nurtured, not born. As a leader, there are things you learn through the process that you have to learn, and this can only be learned by knowledge shared to you by people close to you or people who you look up to. And on that point of a youth-run organization that uh, has uh, has shaped me, or from my point of view, has shaped us into becoming leaders. I think I'll agree with you on that point. This space in which we share Wachira Speaks, I think for me personally has helped me grow a lot. I am not the same person I was maybe 3 years ago. And it has been a journey of becoming, like Wachira said. It has taught me things that I would not have known, and things that maybe have helped me so much and put me ahead of the rest. And yeah, it's a youth-run organization, and I'm so glad that I'm learning from the youth, because Moses said these days old age does not necessarily translate into wisdom. And I think that's true, because from the people within this space I've learned a lot, and they're not old. They're just with their barely in their 20s, and from them I've learned a lot. So yeah, Wachira Speaks stands out for me as a beacon of hope, and as an organization that has taught me what it means to be a leader. Yeah.
And before Collins, you continue, there are comments coming in from Dan Jijo. I say Moses umeattack wazee, and you will respond to that as you answer your question. What are the organizations you know that help young people to become better leaders who are word following?
Oh yeah. First of all, we'll start with saying that for the longest time, I think since I joined campus, I've been part of an organization called African Leadership Forum. It has really given me exposure and really nurtured me to who I am today. It has also given me now the opportunity to meet Wachira Speaks. Sometimes back, Wachira was my boss at AYLF. Yeah, I used to come for meetings back in my campus multimedia. That's why I met him actually, and I'm very happy to see that it is probably through that interaction with young people, that probably motivated him to start such an organization that is really empowering young people. And this is a very good step towards realizing and dignifying the youths of this country and Africa at large. Yeah, that is one. So AYLF has stood out for me because it's through AYLF that I also did a course actually on student leadership development program, where I got to really dissect matters to do with now as a student or as a young people, how do you stood out? How do you stand out to be a leader? To lead your life first, and how do you also lead others? That's also stood out for me. Equally, I would say that Wachira Speaks has also really uh, gotten my attention, because you see, it's not always that young people start such things and keep them running. Because I know, back sometimes back I was so enthusiastic of starting CBOs, youth organizations, but we find that the idea, you pass the idea to people, you executed the first few days, you have meetings, and then 3 months, 6 months down the line, it get down, and it crashes actually, because there's not that consistency. But for this guy, it has been so consistent. I think it's almost a year now. It's been so consistent since I joined them. I have always seen them have these conversations and everything. Now, back to answering the question of umeattack was I think I will answer this question in by saying that as a country, I feel like we have really abandoned our traditional cultures, because you see, we are not attacking. There are all people who are very wisdom and very knowledgeable, and they are very ready to guide us. But you see, equally, there are others here who are even competing with us in money to kupigana sisi raha and everything. You see, you can't get anything from that person, because you want to. There's not a certain lady and the same mzee wants the same lady. I mean, how can we cannot be on the same page? But I think the reason is because as we speak about leadership, most of these people, most of us actually, even the young people, have abandoned the traditional culture. Maina said that back in the days, knowledge was passed from one person to the other, and when your father probably was a leader, you automatically became a leader. And you see, there were certain behaviors that were supposed to be followed in the community. There were certain things that were supposed not to be broken, but those things are not really followed these days. People are getting old, and they're really not understanding that with old age, some things you need to leave them, you need to start behaving a certain way. And that's what now the traditional used to teach us. As Wachira, with his age, he was told, at this age you shouldn't be doing this and this and this, you should be doing this and this and this. And you see, that could be instilled in him, and he could absorb that. And as he grew, he could also grow with a lot of wisdom. But that's not the case with in our today's society. People have really abandoned those culture. People are living a life of I don't care. I mean, like, if you're happy, no one should question you. And you see, we are really contradicting things. So I would say that it's not all wazers. There are some wazers who we really siphon wisdom from. And for those who are not wise, or for those who are doing things not to dictate them wise, they should stop and follow the the good things that will make them wise. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff.
Uh, Thank you very much, Moses. And before Ashira responds to that question, leadership is a skill. There is no expert in leadership. You cannot say this is an expert leader. You must be taught, and masomo ishiangi kwa darasani. You must practice. And at Wachira Speaks Limited, we have the Wezesha High School program where we teach high school students to become better leaders so that they can teach other people to become leaders. And we also have, and soon Wachira will touch on that about the giant platforms, where we have a package, something that I believe all people we can afford, and there is the content in there is worth that money. And Wachira, as you answer the question about organization, which you think that is supporting young leaders, maybe you can touch on that. Thank you.
I believe you're asking about organizations that touch young leader. What's your question, Jeff? Exactly. Kindly repeat it.
I was asking, what are some of the youth organizations you know that promote leadership, that they teach young people to become leadership? Maybe you are part, or maybe you have seen them.
Yeah, there are a lot, but obviously they say charity begins at home, and here we really do that a lot. You guys have bad testimony. I'm also learning a lot in the process here because we do that. Not only myself, but Mina, Ulishasha, Jeff, and the rest that we normally have. We normally learn amongst ourselves because as Moses has said, even old, even fools grow old, and there are a lot of some fools who are old out here, and they might really negate you from the journey of becoming a better leader. The other organizations, I think Moses say has mentioned it, ALF, Africa Youth Leadership Forum, is also a good space for young leaders, especially people in campus, in university, to better themselves. They have really good also things that they do there. Um, Also, ISEC is another organization I've been part of, and it enables one to be a leader. It gives you avenues for you to be a leader or to practice that leadership aspect that is within you. Uh, Other organizations that I can think of, I know of Amazing Minds Africa. They also do well in terms of now in the space of mental health, in terms of you know b- bringing that leadership aspect out of young people. However, it is good that you know that these days almost every organization has that aspect of young youth leaders, youth. I don't know youth, but the problem is very few of them mean it. Very few, especially these big organizations. And we were having a question the other day: is there a difference between youth-run organization and youth-led organization, or both? Because something can be youth led. Yes, it is being led by young people, but who's running the organization? Or it can be youth run, but the people who are leading it's different. And there was that conversation that we're having. But over and above, I think we here, our core business at Wachira Speaks is that leadership aspect. And as Jeff mentioned, we try to bring it across various levels, and from all the way from high school, high school, especially student leaders. We have a special program for them, dubbed Rosacea High School program, that is for high school leaders. And also now for people who are post high school, there are various ways that we are able to engage and enable them to become better leaders uh, within this space. But I think that those are the top organizations, Jeff, that are coming on top of my mind at the moment. But there are a lot. There are a lot that you can mention. Even universities. Let me go back to what you read about education. Collins has bringing in a very good aspect that education is not only the formal part, but in these days, we do not go in to the wilderness as our forefathers. We don't have that aspect of how life was that during those old times. So these days, the only place that you can get that the avenue that brings that leadership aspect in you in terms of even capacity is education. So I think also mentorship is also a really really good way of leadership among the youth, or enhancing that leadership aspect among the youth, that somebody who's noble and who's competent enough will be able to mentor you through the process of becoming a better leader, because all of us are in the journey of becoming better leaders. That is those who allude themselves to be leaders. So I think LLF, ISEC, here, what Wachira Speaks, Amazing Minds Africa, and others that there's one known as CAMD Voices. I know they also do well in terms of that leadership aspect. There are also other organizations such as IEEE, the university, yeah, among the universities. I know they do well with various societies in terms of bringing that youth-led aspect out. Also, societies like SPE, Society of Petroleum Engineer, I also see they do that, also bringing that aspect of the youth leader out, or bringing that, so that young people can become leaders out there. I can see Jeff has disappeared. I don't know, Minor, if I have been able to satisfy in that question.
I think you answered the question conclusively in his absence. And you're here to talk about leadership because perhaps in one time in future we might want to be leaders. And we've seen the leadership space in our country. We've seen how our leaders behave in a way that to us does not look good or does not look satisfactory. Because you live in a country where leaders are not servants. People are the servants, and then leaders are at the very top of the food chain. Because I was listening to, I don't know if I was listening to Kibe some time ago, and he was talking about the richest people in Kenya. He said the richest people in Kenya are politicians, followed by pastors, then followed by businessmen. So leadership, in this sense, leaders in Kenya are not servants. To them, it's a career, and they're not there to promote the interests of their people. Most of the time, they are there to serve their own self-interest. That's why you hear of cases where somebody has become an MP for one term, by the next term is already a billionaire. Somebody has become an MCA for one
Minor,
term, then he has 200 million shillings
we
got lost
were
somewhere.
a few days ago. We were at Moses's place in Kirinyaga in Moya, and we saw a lot of plantation of rice. Maybe he can also tell us. I know he's a political oriented person. Maybe he can respond to what you're saying. Young people who are, because the other day I was in a space and we're having this leadership conversation, especially among young people, and they're telling us, why don't people like yourself and Maina Lushasha and like Jeff, why don't you go for political positions and try and get in and change the system? And I'm sure that some of our the way we think is a little bit different. But I'm sure somebody like Moses and our very good friend like Mwangi Mashariaka Jim, they have different thoughts. Maybe Moses, you can tell us. You are seeing that in Moya kukinyesha gambut at usitoke. So what does that speak to the authority of the day, especially our political leaders, and now you as young people from Moya?
Okay. Yeah, maybe I can start by saying that I was really actively involved in the 2022 elections. Rather, more so on the it comes to Moya MP's race. So actually, that race was very funny because it was between a young man, a good friend of mine, who was called can't call a friend of mine called Jose, and now the madam that is the current MP. Now, the young man automatically had no money. And I used to go around using a motorcycle. He was ferried by another friend of mine called Henry. So it was funny because now they were supposed to go for nomination because this young man used to go to chamas, campaign in Apokwa women forums and such and such. But now, when it comes to nomination, so the hierarchy of the party, I think, of course, there was a lot of cartels. So Niga, tonight he realized the certificate is given to the madam and there's no nomination that has taken place. You see, that's how now that lady got into power, because he was carried along by the UDA wave in Mount Kenya region. And that way she became an MP. And you see, she became MP without even having a plan. What she had was just money and connection to buy those cartels in those parties. So what I would say is that the issue of leadership really starts from the electorates, the people who are voting. Because I, as Mosese, might have a plan. I come from where I know all the feeder roads that have issues. I've worked in those rice plantations. I know for this part of the region, the roads that will help them is this one. I come from a village where I know these people who are doing tomatoes. For them, what will help them is this one. But you see now, I don't have those 20 million to give them. You get? There are cartels who are already in the system who are not ready to go away. And you see now fighting these cartels is now becoming quite hard. So I think the sensitization really need to start from the voting, the people who vote. They're the ones who need to be sensitized and told, guys, it's not all about money.
Mm.
It's about someone who has a plan. Equally, we cannot blame the voters alone. We are here, we need also to blame the young people, or rather people who are running for these political seats. Because I, as Mosese, need to show these people that for sure, when I get this, I have a plan, and my plan is not to just eat money. Because as you said, most of the young people who are even getting into politics, they're not getting into politics to take these people to Kona. No, 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 no. Most of them feel
Yeah.
this is a career opportunity whereby I
Okay.
can open my four companies under proxy,
Mm. Mm.
control the NGCDF, control the tenders in the county, in the constituency, assign them to my proxies, my companies under proxies, amass a lot of wealth, go away even after 5 years. I
Mm.
think there needs to be a lot of sensitization among young people to change that narrative. Because I
Mm.
believe, I really look at what the likes of Akinandende Nyoro does. Even this guy really does some job in his constituency. You see, in as much as I'm not saying that you need to be broke and to prove that you are a young leader, that even when you're in position, don't need to do your things or don't need to change some things in your life here and there, but do have a plan. Because, Wachira, to be honest, what people in the village need is those roads. Build those roads. Make the classroom where their children are going to study conducive. Start startups for young people who are back in the village with no money. Make them form groups. Give them youth funds. Follow up on those startups. For those in day schools, have a transparency mode of those bursary allocations, because even it has become a sign of crime in there, where you find the who's and who's are the ones who assign those. Have a proper mechanism of identifying those who really deserve it. And I can tell you, when you do this, all these things, you find that you will still, I mean, even if you want to assign tenders to your company, when you assign those tenders, make sure whatever these people are doing is something quality and up to the standard, something that will last generations to come. Because you
Okay.
see, what we
Okay.
forget is that, what we really forget, Wachira, is that we do things thinking that we are hurting a certain group of people. But now, not knowing, when you are asked about your extended family, there are too many. You might not know who will benefit next. I mean, do things, tenda wema, nenda zako. And
Yeah.
you need to advise young people that they need to understand politics is not an avenue to become rich, or rather, an avenue, yes, to change your life first and also to change the life of others. That is the point. And also, the voters need to understand that we need to do away with the politics of conmanship of money, and stick to the plan. And they need to have trust in us young people. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to elect those wazes and expect to have change. I mean, it cannot happen.
Yeah. True. Okay. Thank you, Moses, for that. Mina, before you kind of left, Moses was talking about the political part, and I'm sure now for you, Mina Ulishasha is maybe I ask you about now leaders, young leaders, youth leaders outside politics, maybe in their life, in the world of the corporate world. How are the leaders coming in, the young leaders, or are they even shunned out even more, like Moses is telling us in politics? Or is there maybe an opening? Ama ni mtu aingie and you fight for yourself?
I think in the corporate world, it's easier for you to stand out as a young leader because in a corporate world, your work speaks for itself. It's not so much. There's that part of influence, yes, but you have to perform as a leader. You're promoted based on merit, not based on how many people you know, how many friends you have within the organization, which to me looks like a better way of promoting leaders or choosing leaders. That's why you find it's very hard for people who come from the corporate world to transition into a political space. Most of the times you find themselves they're resigning because in the political sense, a lot of things don't work, and even with the things not working, the people just stay in place. But if you come from a corporate world, things have to work because you're running the affairs of a company, and if things don't work, the company is running into losses. In the sense of with the government space, things might not work and money might be lost. You might go to court for 10 years and the case might never come to an end. But in a corporate world, you have to work and your work has to speak for itself. I believe that the corporate world provides a better space for young people to nurture themselves into becoming leaders. And maybe just to touch a bit on what Moses was saying, Moses said we need to select young leaders, people who have a vigor to lead. We need to move on from this old people who perhaps are not fit to serve. But the problem is they say that power corrupts and money corrupts. So a lot of times we have people with very good ideas coming into the political space, campaigning, and then we vote for them. Then for some reason or another, after a few months in office, they change to completely different people. They turn into people you know nothing about. So what is happening in our political space in such a way that people come in with good ideas, but by the time they get into office or a few months into office, all those ideas are shelved and they become what a Kenyan politician looks like. They become corrupt. They just speak and don't act on what they say. What happens between this them campaigning and them getting into office that makes them not to deliver?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, Maina,
Perhaps
for that.
Moses could shed a little bit of light on that.
Okay. Okay. I think there were some network issues. I thought you had. Okay. Uh, I can see Muvavariro from Zimbabwe has joined us as we are almost finishing wrapping up. I don't know, Maina, if you can still hear me, but Muvavariro, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Kindly introduce yourself. Tell us what you do because we were talking about youth and leadership and we are almost wrapping it up. Maybe you can just basically briefly tell us something on that topic as you introduce yourself before we wrap it up.
Okay, thank you, Wachira. I think it's a matter of time zones. What is the time right now there?
The time right now is 9. You guys are 1 hour behind us. So when I say 9, is it 8? Is it 8 p.m.? It is 8 p.m. in your time, right?
Yes, it's 8 p.m. So I'd scheduled for this meeting at 8 p.m.
No. It was 8 p.m. East African time.
or East African time. So that's where the problem was because I was
Yeah.
geared up p.m. But
Mm.
anyways, I can add my last words after everyone is done speaking. But anyways, I would want to introduce myself. My name is KV Muvavarirwa. 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 You get me? So yeah, I'm very happy to talk to you guys. Like it's a networking world whereby we have to network. We are the youth that wants to bring change into the motherland. It's good to connect like this, and even our own ancestors, they are happy. They are happy when we connect like this. That is the spirit of Ubuntu. We are am because we connect like this, and when we connect like this, we ignite the flame among each other. Iron sharpens iron. So my initiative is called Powerful Africa, and Powerful Africa is basically creating powerful Africans. So how are we creating these powerful Africans? We are decolonizing their colonial mindset. We are rewriting our own African history, not the one that was written by the white men that we are still learning at school, but we are rewriting our history because we know our power was taken. So we are reclaiming our African power. That's basically about Powerful Africa. I'll dig more into what it does, but I'm very happy to connect with you guys. Just also said that with the miscommunication in terms of time, but anyways, I'm happy that I joined.
Don't worry, KV. Next time I'm sure things will be more. We'll explain it more well. But we are really happy also to have you here. and also to know a friend now all the way in Zimbabwe. We have friends in South Africa. But we do not have friends in Zimbabwe. So this is a good start for, as you have said, we are also on that journey of decolonizing the mind. And here our interest is, shifting the mindset, because the mindset was shifted to something that is totally Eurocentric, something that is totally colonized. So we want to shift our mindset to something better and bring in that change that, Africans can be better, and Africa is our business, and Africa is what we're interested with. And I'm sure maybe time will not allow us to engage more with you tonight, but we do this every Wednesday, and also so therefore we have a lot of time to have more conversation. But maybe Maina Olishasha can say something before we wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you, Muvavari Roa. I want to hope I said your name correctly.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
also want to pronounce yours. Yours is Oloshia Shia. Oloshia
Yeah,
Shia is Oloshia
yeah.
Shia. Mhm.
It's as
And
African as can be.
and
Yeah.
I just said Wachira because that one is easy to pronounce. But anyways, the first one is Mutati.
Yeah. Thank you
Mutati,
for
right?
joining us. Yeah, it's Mutadi.
Mutati Maina Oloshia
Thank you for
Shia. I
joining us.
French with you guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, as I was saying, thank you for joining us. And I'm very happy when I see someone who shares in our vision and ideas. I'm happy to hear you talking about Ubuntu because I believe Africans are. I like to liken Africans to a piece of fabric very tightly woven in a way that each one of us, despite living in different parts of Africa, are connected at the core, and that you share in our vision and ideas. I love that. I love Africans who love them being African.
Mm,
I love that
mm,
you chose to put your African name as being the highlight of down there.
mm.
And like you said, we will work together in future and basically promote the African cause and hope that as you are talking about African leaders, I believe that you're also a leader. That's why you're a founder. And I hope that in leading your people, you act as a servant leader. You're not corrupt. You guide your people towards a greater vision. And I believe you do that. And maybe this time, because of time, you're not able to join us a little bit earlier, but we invite you to more conversations. We invite you to this space again. Maybe we'll get the time to share your ideas even more than you did today. Otherwise, from us here in Kenya, we're happy to have you, and maybe you can pass on our greetings to the people down there. Yeah. Thank
Wonderful,
you.
wonderful, wonderful. I'm very happy, and I think next time when we talk, you guys tell me more about Wachira, what you are currently doing. I just saw the videos on Facebook. I was seeing you're playing, interacting games, you're socializing. I'm sure I even saw about the quiz one. I was just delighted with how we are doing it, connecting as youth. I really love the vision. I was really inspired, and I said, well, this is nice. This is what our East African brothers are doing. If something is good, yes, we copy the good, and the bad, no. But anyways, I'm very very delighted. I'm very very delighted. So like what I mentioned, next time, you Mutati, you tell me more about Wachira. You tell me more about Wachira. Either if you are going to send me a document, be it a PDF or whatever, I would be glad to know about the initiative. But thank you, leaders like what Maina just mentioned. We are servants. We are servants. We are servants. We work for the people. We work for the people.
Mm.
So a servant, we are the workers. We are the workers for the people. We do all the
Sure.
dirty work. As far as
Mm.
they see us appearing on the media, doing television, radio, and the likes, well, they are just seeing us, the faces there, and they say, oh, yeah, public figure, yeah, what. But they don't know that that's a case. That's a case. That's a case. Let me tell you, my brother, what we are doing is a case because we are limited. Our time is limited. We are living in a world whereby there's a lot of interest in entertainment. Just imagine if we open TikTok right now. There's a lot of things on TikTok, and you wouldn't want to exit TikTok. You would watch TikTok maybe for at least 3 hours. But with this work of hours, we dedicate a lot of time into planning, coordinating, and it's easy for you to blame something when something has been done. It's easy to tear apart something that has been built. It's just easy as that. You guys, I know, when you do those things like what I was seeing, those interacting games, you guys uniting, doing a lot of things, quiz and I know that that takes a lot of planning. It's not easy. Yeah, yes, very easy to see, very easy to see. But coordinating people with five senses, ah, five senses, five senses, telling someone, come to Wachira, come to Wachira. We are going to do this. We are going to do this. Come. I really know my African people. I really know I really know them, and I really know that part of your games. It's a matter of trying to engage, so that it becomes interesting. They would love you. You try to relax their mind, you know, for them to have more fun, like they, because if you tell them directly we are going to be doing this and this, they'll say, no, no. So my leaders, I'm very happy to talk to you.
Thank you, Varirwa. We thank you very much for sparing your time to be here with us at African Corner. And just to inform you that we like to invite you next week on Wednesday. Now, let me say it in your South African time, that is from Zimbabwean time, that it will be 7 p.m. In Zimbabwe, and in Kenya it will be 8 p.m. And we also, as we are wrapping up, we want to appreciate everybody who came to our African themed treasure hunt. We were doing an African themed treasure hunt here in Nairobi and around Kabete, and it was really, really nice and it was successful. We want to hats off to everybody who came in and they got a chance to know Africa better. They got a chance to know more riddles in Africa, know popular people in Africa, know historical figures in Africa. It was just amazing. We'll be releasing the videos and the photos starting tomorrow morning. And also, in a sad note, we also want to send our condolences to the people of Kenyatta University. We have lost 16 students to a road accident, and it has been a tragedy. And the whole country is in mourning, and especially the comrades around the country. Our condolences to the Kenyatta University fraternity as a whole. And from that, I like to wish everybody around our continent, around Africa, and the world at large a very, very good week ahead. I mean, the remainder part of the week, and a good night, depending on where and when you are. My name is Mutadhi Wachira Wanyaga, Mujiro wa Baria Karegithi. Thayo. Ici nĩ ngerenwa cia Mũmbi Mũmbũri. Thayo.
What are you doing on your Wednesday and Sunday night? Well, if it's nothing, I welcome you to African Corner, which ranges from 8 to 9 p.m.